Okay, I don't know what to expect. At all. Like, I don't know anything. I just know it's gonna be fun. March 14th, 1:16 a.m. To make sure the defendant is found guilty, what other choice do I have? That's the job of a prosecutor, after all. That may be true, but why? Why go this far? Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear enough, but a guilty verdict is all that matters to me. No matter what the cost. Are we seeing the culprit immediately? I'm a prodigy among prosecutors. Always have been, always will be. March 14th, 2:05 a.m. Prosecutor's Building, 12th floor hallway. He's so cute! It's hard to believe that I've been away from my office for a whole month. I hope Detective Gumshoe has been keeping an eye on my office, and keeping it clean. The door is unlocked. Detective Gumshoe? What's the smell? It's very familiar. Blood? What the? Yeah, there's a guy here. What is the meaning of this? Freeze! Oh, first guy, okay. Identify yourself. Shut up. You've got some nerve committing murder in a prosecutor's office. Is that a threat? Let me make one thing very clear. What? No one gets away with committing murder in my office. No one. And there's been a surprising amount of that. My name is Miles Edgeworth, and I work as a prosecutor in my local district. Little did I know that upon my return home after a month abroad, I would be thrusted into a multitude of cases and some very frantic and busy days. March 14th, 2:56 a.m. High Prosecutor's Offices, room 1202. I finished photographing the victim's body, sir. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to do so many different voices for this, huh? Very well. Please continue your investigation. Yes, sir. Ah! Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Are you okay, sir? Keep it down, detective. This is a crime scene. When I heard that a murder had taken place in your office, I ran up here straight away. This is Dick Gumshoe. He's a detective with the local precinct. And the one they assigned to handle this murder case for the time being. You're looking a little pale, sir. Are you hurt? No, I'm perfectly fine. However... Ah! Look what they did to your office! It's totally trashed! I'll say, the culprit sullied my floor with dirt rather well. No one gets away with tracking mud into my office. And the murder, too. That's kind of important. Whoa, sounds like you're getting really burned up over this whole thing. This crime was committed in my office, so it is my responsibility to solve it. Ho-ho, that's just like you, Mr. Edgeworth. Okay, time to do some investigating. Agreed. Our first course of action is to gather relevant facts and leads. The tutorial. We must not overlook anything, no matter how small, if we are to find the truth. So I'll keep any leads or information we find etched in the forefront of my mind. Speaking of things that pique my curiosity, why of all places did the murder occur in my office? I get the nagging feeling this is something important to keep in mind. Yeah, I was wondering that myself, sir. I mean, you can't really say it's just a coincidence, can ya? No, not really, especially because of this. The key to your office? What do you mean, sir? If you think about it carefully and use logic, it should become clear to you. Logic? What's that? By finding the connection between two pieces of information and connecting them, new information is born. That is the end result of using logic. So how do you use it? First, I recall the information we've gathered with Q, then connect them together with T. Now to use Q and recall the facts. Okay, well, my office is locked, so how could they have gotten in? For security reasons, all prosecutors' doors are outfitted with locks, which means it would have been hard for the murderer and the victim to get in here. Ergo, it's impossible to dismiss the location of this crime as mere coincidence. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, sir! There must be a reason why someone infiltrated my room. What was the killer after? The safe, probably? You're really on the ball today, Mr. Edgeworth. That's some beautiful logic, sir. Nobody else has ever used logic before, sir. Yes, well, when you follow leads to their conclusion, only the truth remains. However, if the information doesn't line up properly, I may stray far from the truth as well. But if I think carefully before piecing leads together, the logic should flow. Well, let's get started with our investigation, shall we? Yes, sir! Begin investigation. High Prosecutor's Office's room 1202. The basics of any good investigation is to examine everything, sir. I know that, and when I want to examine something, I simply use space when I'm next to it. Oh, if you ever feel lost and just want to talk, use T, okay? I'll give you great, precise advice as an ace investigator, sir. Something to try later if I have free time, I suppose. I can walk. What have we here? Could this perhaps be the murder weapon? If so, it would mean that the killer made their escape after disposing of their gun here. I think I've seen one of these before. Care to enlighten me as to where? Oh, I know! I was issued the exact same model, I think. So it was a police officer? Detective. I don't really like guns all that much. I mean, they're really dangerous. But now that I think about it, you do see this model around the precinct a lot, sir. I don't use mine much except in emergencies, so that's why I didn't recognize it. So it's the same type of revolver as the one used by this precinct's detectives. That seems really important. I can run! Why would I need to run? It's a tiny room. I hope we can solve this case quickly. I'd like to return to relaxing on this sofa. That thing looks a billion times softer than my mattress at home. Can I sit on it too, just for a little while, sir? Detective Gumshoe, you know I can't allow that. Until this case is solved, neither of us has time to spare, let alone rest. You're right, sir. I'm gonna work hard and be a real trooper to the end. Oh. Even once this case is over, I don't think he can afford to take any time off. That's a good point with all the salary cuts. You called, sir? I didn't mean to. I meant to talk to this guy. How is it coming along? Please, I need absolute silence. Fingerprint lifting is a delicate art. Well, I never. Yeah, that was rude. They finished photographing the body, so it should be alright to examine this area. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. I don't believe it! I packed those files on those shelves so tight! It's a message. Not even an earthquake could make them fall off, but just look at them! At this rate, the rest of the files won't be able to withstand an earthquake at all! A problem, to be sure. Well, once the investigation is over, we'll put them back up on the shelf. I was talking about the bloody message. That is clearly just an upside-down bloody message. What do we have here? Hey, I think I've seen one of these before. It's called a wallet. I don't have one myself. I'm too broke. It's a police badge, detective. Oh, never mind. Oh, hey, I have the exact same thing, actually. What a coinky-dink. Let's take a look inside. Oh, well, that's really convenient. Mr. Buddy Faith. It would appear that our victim was a detective, just like you. I seem to have gathered a few pieces of pertinent information. Now to calmly use some logic and figure out if any of them are connected to each other. Give me a sec. Let's see here. There's blood all over his lower abdominal area. Looks like the bullet passed clean through his stomach area, sir. In other words, he was shot. Yep, and until the autopsy's done, I don't think we'll know much more than that. Please have the body sent to the morgue once they're done processing the crime scene. The body was found at around 2:05 a.m. Are you gonna be okay with keeping track of the evidence we find, sir? Of course. This is the safest way I know to keep track of it all. Alright, if you say so. I keep all the evidence I find either in or with my organizer. When I want to re-examine a piece, I have but to press E to open my organizer. That's it? This is all I have? But the organizer isn't only for evidence. I keep people's profiles on hand in it too. It's probably a good idea to make a habit of checking the facts often. The files are all over the floor, sir. They probably fell during the struggle between the victim and his killer. Aw, and I tried so hard to keep this place spotless while you were away. I mean, this just rendered all the time and effort I put in pointless! I don't recall ever asking you to clean my room. Well, I watered the flowers every day, just like you requested, sir. I just added cleaning to the list as a weekend special. For about half a day every Saturday, I'd come in and clean this place until it sparkled. Gumshoe is so adorable. Does he have a life? Okay, I think that's all that is here. Let's see if I can use some logic. That's not the right button. I already forgot the logic button. There we go. The victim was a detective. And the revolver with the precinct means the killer grabbed the victim's gun. The revolver, the standard model used by detectives. Could it have belonged to our recently departed? Detective Gumshoe, could you please thoroughly check the victim's body one more time? Yes, sir! On it now, sir! Excuse me, pal. Did you just excuse yourself to a body? Let's see, what have we got here? Mr. Edger, sir, this guy's wearing a gun holster, of course. So it appears our killer somehow managed to take the victim's gun from him. It was issued to the victim. Let's see what else we can find out about this revolver. As I always say, you gotta look really carefully at each piece of evidence. You can use to rotate an object. Hey, how's it going? Good. I'm really excited to actually play this game. And I cannot wait to strain my voice for the next, 50 hours just for putting on, all of these voices. There's no such thing as a bad angle. Use Q and E to zoom out and get at the nitty-gritty. I sure will. Can I just... One shot. Looks like only one round was fired from this. Wow, so the killer killed the Vic with just one shot after wrestling the gun from him. The Vic? The Vic. Wait a minute. Wait, no. That's impossible, because we know that the one shot was on the painting. Interesting. Sounds like the guy knew how to handle a gun, huh, Mr. Edgeworth? We have no proof for now, but that is a distinct possibility. I guess this is all we're about to find out. We should send the body to Jim! I don't know who's saying that. Why? Oh, why? How could this have happened to a guy like you? That's the killer, dude! Are you alright? Don't touch me! Leave me alone! Just let me be! Sorry, but I can't do that. The investigation is still ongoing, so please refrain from touching the body. The body? The body? Don't talk about him like he's just some lump of flesh. Look at him. Jim looks like he's just turned in for the night. Sure, just in a blood-stained suit, pal. Where are my manners? Aren't you that prosecutor? Why, yes, I am. I'm Jacques Portman, Professor. Jim here was my partner in crime bustling. That says busting. I know how to read. I'm Miles Edgeworth, and like you, I am also a prosecutor. Detective Dick Gumshoe, sir! So you're Miles Edgeworth. I guess this is your office? Yes, that is correct. Then it was you! You're the one who killed Jim! Au contraire, monsieur, it was you. Hey, don't go around jumping to conclusions, pal. Just calm down, okay? I will not. I know how things work around here. High prosecutor's office door all have locks built into them. And only the owner of this office has the key to his or her own office door. That is correct. However, I was not the one who killed your partner. Yeah, Mr. Edgeworth has been overseas on a business trip this whole time, pal. And the key to the door was with me the entire time, okay? So the only one who could get in here was me! Gumshoe? Wait, that means... I'm not sure what that means. So it was you then! You're Jim's killer! No way, pal, you've got it all wrong! Everyone calm down. Mr. Portsman, correct? If you are a real prosecutor, you should know to stay collected. The investigation has only just begun. Isn't it too early to be drawing conclusions? I gave him the most pretentious voice, didn't I? Alright, I get the point. You're right, my mistake. I tend to get a little too hot-headed sometimes. Sure are one cool customer though, Mr. Edgeworth. I've heard all the rumors about you. You're the great genius prosecutor. You're something of a legend, you know. Anyway, let's call a truce and work together, okay? Now, how about a handshake to seal the deal? A pleasure to work with you. You guys were conducting your investigation, right? Sorry for barging in like that. Carry on then. It's your room after all. Thank you. I intend to. I just want a little more time to say goodbye to Jim. You there. Sir! I want you to capture this scene on film for me. My final farewell to my partner, Jim. I should probably give them some space. Well, now I can look at this. Ah! Your jacket, sir! What's it doing on the floor? Oh, it's not a painting. I thought Edgeworth was pretentious enough to have a painting of his jacket on his wall. It's just his old jacket. It must have fallen off the wall when the killer tried to threaten me by firing a round. That's the problem, though! If only one round was fired. How? So the killer not only shot the victim, but they shot your jacket as well? They dared to shoot the ultra-special jacket that you made your prosecutorial debut in? What if they had shot through it? It would have been a disaster! It's not worth getting worked up over, Detective. Not when there's something more here. Huh? Like what? I take it you haven't noticed it yet, Detective. I have. There's a giant contradiction right here in front of us. Really? Really? Did I say contradiction? He must be rubbing off on me. I'm starting to sound like him. But I have my own methods, and I will conduct this investigation my way. When the scene before me contradicts a piece of evidence or seems off, that's when my deductive skills come into play. First, I have to find the spot that holds the contradiction. This is it. This bullet hole is where the contradiction lies. When I spot something that's off, I should point my cursor at it and press T with conviction. And when I have found sufficient proof to prove the contradiction, I present it. This is how I do things. Eureka! Wow, my voice is spot on. This bullet hole is the contradiction. Well, what do you mean, sir? It's elementary. 2 shots were fired in this room. The first felled the victim, and the second felled this frame. Hey, that's right! However, this gun was only fired once. Hey, that's true too. Which means that one of these 2 bullets was fired from a different gun. Did the killer have another gun prepared for tonight? I mean, obviously, they used their gun to shoot the victim and then the detective's gun to threaten. Probably. By the way, I noticed something, sir. What's that thing sticking out from behind the frame? It's a safe, I'm guessing. Oh, it's a secret safe. A secret safe? Oh, I smell money! I'll spare us the trouble and just say it. Nothing like what you're imagining is inside. Now, if you could kindly move this frame out of the way. Roger that! That's true. Talk about dusty! I suppose that's what happens when I'm not here to dust it once in a while. I had no idea there was a safe here, or I'd have kept it clean for you, sir. So when did you put this thing in? It wasn't something I had installed personally. Every prosecutor's office has one. That means that the killer knew, because we know that the killer was that guy, who is a prosecutor as well. Really? I had no idea. Well, only prosecutors are supposed to have knowledge of their existence. I've also noticed that the area around the keypad has been dusted to remove fingerprints. So, what's inside, Mr. Edgeworth? Right now, nothing. We only use them to store especially important evidence when a trial is in session. That's it? Talk about squashing my hopes and dreams. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Like it's been dusted, for instance. You found something, sir? This keypad. Don't you find it to be a bit too clean? Yeah, there's a thick layer of dust all around it, but not on the keypad itself. You there, the forensic scientist. Yes, sir. Could you please dust this area for fingerprints? You got it, sir. I couldn't find, let alone lift, a single print. Looks like it was wiped down well. That makes sense. It appears that logic is the only way around this setback. Time to rationally and calmly connect the dots with the information we have. I know just the thing. The killer's goal? The safe. I believe I have figured out what the murderer was after. Well, what is it, sir? The fact that the safe was wiped clean of fingerprints suggests that they opened it. That the criminal had at least attempted to open my safe. Making the culprit's motive for breaking and entering theft, I believe. I wonder if knowing that the motive behind this break-in was theft changes what the other pieces of information can tell me about this crime. Well, yes. If the motive was theft, I don't have the evidence for this. But if the motive was theft, they would have to know about the safe. I've already finished examining this area, but it never hurts to look again. I never knew there was a safe hidden back here. Well, if detectives knew about them, then they wouldn't be secret now, would they? Are there any other secret hidden things in this room? Even if there were, it would defeat the purpose of them being hidden if I told you. So don't bother looking for them. So there's no, hidden camera around, right? And what if there was? No, it's nothing. Forget I said anything. Do I even want to ask what he's been doing in my office while I've been away? I'm glad I looked at the safe again. Do you have anything to report? Sir, yes, sir. Nothing out of the ordinary right now, sir. And yet, there's something out of the ordinary right in front of my eyes. Talk about a contradiction. Something out of the ordinary, huh? I should look around a bit more. Ouch, they even knocked over your chess set. I had it all set up, ready for when you got back. I figured we could play a few games. I had no idea you were interested in chess. I'm actually pretty good at checkers, so I thought I'd give chess a try. In that case, I suppose I can set some time aside after we solve this case. Oh, that's cute. Though I don't expect the games to tax my mental acuity much. He is staring into my soul. Okay, what is this, bag type thing in the bottom right? Mr. Portsman, a word if I may. Jim, I swear I'll find your killer and bring them to justice. You wait and see, it'll be for the both of us. Jim? His name's Buddy Faith. Why did that only just click? No, that's alright. His name's not Jim! How is it coming along? Please, I need absolute silence. This picture is too important to mess up. I'll leave the man to his art. Okay, there's something up with the tea set. Watch out for the teacup fragments there, sir! That killer is going to pay. This tea set. Yikes, you're really mad over this! This tea set is very dear to my heart and can only be bought in England. It cost more than your whole month's paycheck. What? Now I feel like the killer's wasted one of my monthly paychecks. Okay. Oh, it's your trophy, the, Knight of Prosecutors, right? King of Prosecutors. And it's not a trophy, it is a shield. They only send this to the winning prosecutor, right? Yes, but I have no real interest in the perceived worth of other people. As for my own worth, that is something only I can determine for myself. That's so slick, sir! I'm gonna have to try saying that sometime. Unfortunately for him, his monetary worth is tied directly to his worth to me. Dang! That is brutal. Is this yet another batch of fresh flowers? The ones that come with a card attached every month like clockwork for you? Yup. Speaking of that, let's see what's on the card this month, sir. All will be resolved. Wendy. Oh no. Oh, Miss Irony, how painful are thy thorns. Wendy, isn't that the name of the old lady with the whiny voice that stalked? That's enough, detective. You need not remind me further. Oh yeah, I should check my desk. It's been a while since I've sat at this desk. Oh, how I've missed you. It's so tidy that it looks newer than when I first bought it. Oh yeah, that thing's so polished it makes mirrors jealous. Don't tell me you had no other work the entire time I was away, detective. My job is to protect your office, sir! And you did such a good job protecting it that a murder occurred in it. That's a low blow, Edgeworth. That's harsh, sir. I have to admit the desk has never looked better, so I guess I can't dock his pay. It's a really good desk. Well, it's a good thing my Steel Samurai doll was spared any harm. Speaking of which, I haven't actually sat down and watched any of that show. That was it. That was Gumshoe. What's it about again? Well, I don't know much about it myself, but the hero of the Steel Samurai Warrior of Neo-Old Tokyo is the Steel Samurai, and his goal is to defeat the evil magistrate, who's a show geared towards kids. However, its high production values and riveting plot draws in a number of adults as well. Spin-offs like The Pink Princess Warrior of Little Old Tokyo and The Nickel Samurai, along with the deluge of merchandise and even a new stage show, gives it presence. And I know what all of those words mean. You sure know a lot. Are you sure you're not some sort of rabid fanboy? Of course not. Anyone that keeps up with society knows at least this much. And that conversation lasted longer than expected. Let us return to the investigation. Can't let anyone know that I like Steel Samurai. What haven't I investigated yet? I would like to investigate like the bloody hands and the message and stuff, but I can't. I think I have to use logic. There is a possibility that the files splayed on the floor are part of the theft, or not the result of a struggle between the victim and his killer. That makes sense, yeah. Oh, you mean like it could be from when the killer tried to find something, sir? Precisely. We need to figure out if any of the files have been stolen. Yes, sir! I'm gonna shelve files like you've never seen before, even at a library. Sure. Let's give that a try. Why do all the good ones always die young? Surely you must ponder that every once in a while, Mr. Edgeworth. No matter how much we lament, the dead will not come back to life. All we can do is search for the truth. And? So what are we supposed to do? How do we go about finding the truth? First, we calmly restore the files to their rightful place. You got it! Here, let me help! So this file goes here, and that book goes there. You sure know a lot about where things go, despite it being Mr. Edgeworth's office. 'Cause I'm the one who keeps it tidy, pal! Okay, done! Another bullet in the OD. It would appear that the murder was definitely committed here. Ah, the bloodstains on the bookshelf are still fresh. I suspect that the victim was killed in a standing position, hence the prints on the shelf. And then the guy fell on the floor, right? The blood on the floor is kind of grossing me out. Detective, I don't have time to deal with your weak stomach right now. But you know I'm no good with blood, sir. I'm certain there's something wrong with this picture. Is this spot somehow connected to any of the evidence I hold? This is clearly where the contradiction lies. Oh no. I don't really see what's so wrong with that spot. You don't understand. You see, therein lies the contradiction. Oh no. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, it'd be nice if you'd just admit when you're wrong. That wasn't a mistake! It was me keeping you on your toes, detective. It appears that the victim was in a sitting position here after being shot. Oh, so that's why the seat of the victim's pants has blood on it. That would be the logical conclusion. I put them all back just as they should be, sir. Doesn't look like anything's missing. Although it does look like the killer moved the body to flip through my shelves. I wonder if they found what they were looking for. So this is where the bullet lodged itself after it went through the victim, huh? For the bullet to be lodged so squarely in a file spine indicates that the files were ransacked after the shooting had occurred. And I guess the victim was moved because he was in the killer's way. That makes sense. The victim's handprints! He must have tried to support himself with his hands here after being shot. There are prints on the floor, too! Those must have been made when, unable to stay standing, he dropped to the floor. That checks out. The killer moved the body because it was leaning against the bookshelf. The blood on this guy's pants proves that pretty well. Sometimes I get the person wrong. It sucks. In a sense, I suppose. See, I'm not completely useless, Mr. Edgeworth. Proof of my profession, however, I prefer to keep it in my pocket. To think that it's so easy to take a life with just the pull of a trigger. You know, I can't see myself ever really liking guns. Oh, but I love the ones they use at the track and field meets to start races. If you take off before it's fired, everybody always ends up following your lead. To chase you down for a false start, detective. Now that you mention it, even when I finish first, I always wind up in last place. Aw. Something here contradicts, but I'm too stupid to figure it out. Wait, I got it. Okay. There is a problem. Their blood on up here must mean he was standing after being shot. But he was shot down here. How does that make sense? And he was shot through the abdomen. So we'll present this with the victim's body because he was shot in the abdomen. There was clearly a contradiction here with this bullet hole. I finally realized it. Yes. What do you mean, sir? You don't see? Quite simply, the bullet hole itself is too low. Exactly. He had to be standing after being shot? How would he make the bloody prints? If the victim was shot in the stomach, the hole should be much higher up. But what if the guy was shot while he was sitting or lying down, sir? Then there would be no blood on the top or the upper shelves. That would be illogical. The victim leaned against this shelf here after being shot, which suggests that he was standing when he was shot, which means that he was shot at a downward angle, probably? Then that means... Wait, what does that mean, sir? It means you need to use your brain every once in a while instead of mind, detective. In any case, it means someone made a faulty assumption, and it was from this mistake that our current contradiction was born. What is the faulty assumption that caused this problem with the bullet hole's position? The order of the files. I believe the order of the files is a bit off. You mean I put them back in the wrong order just now? Hey, actually, I think the labels on the files are wrong, sir. Oh? Yeah, you see here how the files that were shot begin with the number O? The number 0? What are those doing all the way down there after 1, 2, and 3? That's really weird. Actually, the way they were organized now is the correct order. They are exactly as I see them in my mind's eye. But the numbers are all out of order. Those white binders are special, so they are arranged a little differently. But from this, we know that the files were not in this order when the crime occurred. So when Detective Gumshoe cleaned the office, he put the zeros at the top, even though they're supposed to go at the bottom. Boom. Crime solved! Aha, so that's it. I believe the killer made the same incorrect assumption as you just did, Detective. Let's rearrange the file in numerical order and see what we find out. It makes a whole lot more sense, Do you think it'd be okay to prop the body back up to how it was before it was moved? They've finished processing the crime scene, so I don't see why it wouldn't be. If you please, Detective Gumshoe. As I suspected, the bullet hole is now where it should logically be. The killer went through my files first before shooting Mr. Faith, and then put the files back in numerical order, I guess. Exactly. And then proceeded to shoot the victim. But why would someone kill a man and then look through your files one more time? Puzzling indeed. Files were thrown into disarray. Twice, once before and once after the crime. But why? Because of this message. This is where the other O files are. 0. Dang it! Now the crime scene is as it was at the time of the murder. Time to give it another look. That says Gumshoe, which scares me. What is that? Why does it say Gumshoe on there in blood? I'd say that's some incredibly incriminating evidence. Yes, indicative of criminal activity indeed. No, wait, there's gotta be some mistake. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me. Say something, sir. It appears that one of my files was stolen. Is that all, sir? What about me and my situation? Is this what the killer was really after? Investigation complete. Looks like Jim was able to leave us the name of the killer in the end. And this most important message managed to reach us. I'm telling you, it wasn't me! You can't be terribly pleased to hear that your beloved partner is the guilty party. I know it wasn't him because I saw you did it. If you are going to accuse Detective Gumshoe of being the culprit, I sincerely hope you have some proof to back it up. Jim's words are more than enough, wouldn't you say? If that's how you want to play it, then at least allow me to understand your reasoning. You got it! I don't like this one bit. There's something strange about this man's attitude. And there must be some sort of flaw to his logic waiting for me to dig out. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you gonna do? What I always do in court, I'm going to cross-examine him. Actually, it's the defense that cross-examines the witness in these games, so, take that, nerd! One way or another, I'll expose the flaw in his logic with this technique. Ooh, how do you do that? Can you explain it to me, sir? Yeah, I don't know how to play it. Alright, first, listen to the witness's testimony. If I find a flaw in the testimony, something that contradicts the evidence, I open my organizer with E and oh, that's what you're telling me. To present something, I simply use T, but that's old news. It's not like there's gonna be a flaw in their testimony every time, right? Correct, and at those times I need to press the witness with Q. Sometimes by pressing I can draw out new information and new or modified testimony. I think I get it, sir! I'll be sure to try this technique out during investigations too! Very well. I'll even show you how it's done. Now watch carefully. I really gave him the most pretentious voice in the world. Detective Gumshoe, you stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead. Furthermore, you messed up the files to make it look like you had committed theft instead. That's when you moved Jim's body that was sitting in front of the bookshelf. But thanks to that, you didn't notice the bloody letters his body was hiding. And it will be his final words. It will be by his final words that you will be brought to justice. Well, I already see the issue. You intend to argue that the victim's dying message points to his killer? I can hear Jim's voice and he's calling for his killer's arrest! Are you sure you're not mishearing his words, Mr. Portman? There is no way Detective Gumshoe is the culprit here. I will find the flaw in this man's logic and expose it with credible evidence. Okay. Detective Gumshoe, you stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead. Further, you messed up the files to make it look like you had committed theft instead. Back to the first thing. We present the revolver. Only one shot fired. Objection! Mr. Portsman, there's a large flaw in your logic. You've got to be kidding me. Really? I think it holds up rather well, actually. What do you think is wrong with it? Nothing. Let's move on. Come on! This isn't like you at all, sir. Concentrate. That was careless of me. I can't afford to do that or the truth will slowly slip away. Remain calm, Miles. It's the only way. Fine. I'll press his statement then. Hold it! You know, there's something I've been meaning to ask. What is it? Why do you call the victim Jim when clearly his name is Buddy Faith? Isn't it obvious? Jim is the perfect name for my companion. Jacques and Jim, don't those two names go together like peanut butter and jelly? No? But Jim isn't even close to the guy's real name! Well, Jacques and Buddy just sounds off somehow. Besides, he was the third of a bunch of guys I decided to nickname Jim. He talks about the victim like he was his pet. He messed up the files? I think not. Do you really think it was necessary to dishevel my shells twice to do that? That's true. Okay, then maybe his real intent was theft. Hey, are you accusing me of stealing something from Mr. Edgeworth? It's a possibility. Maybe your salary's been cut so much that life is getting a little too rough to handle. I'll have you know that I eat 3 square meals every day, pal! Okay, so all 3 of them happen to be instant noodles, but... Poor thing. What an evil prosecutor you were paired up with. And what a motive, no? A motive to kill some random dude? That's when you moved Jim's body that was sitting in front of the bookshelf. Hold it! And why would Detective Gumshoe do such a thing? Because the body was getting in his way, he had to mess up your bookshelf somehow, right? Anyway, But thanks to that, you didn't notice the bloody letters his body was hiding. Why do you think that the killer didn't notice the bloody letters? The body was covering it quite well, wouldn't you say? That's how he missed it. Oh, I see what the contradiction is now. But judging by what I've seen, it doesn't take much for your detective to miss something. Who do you think you are? You know nothing about me, pal! There's a lot a person can understand about another from first impressions alone. I can't say I disagree with him on that point. Well, why don't you say something, sir? Not you too, Mr. Edgeworth. Despite his lack of attention to detail, I don't believe the detective to be the culprit. Nobody could have overlooked the bloody letters, and I can prove it with evidence. He didn't overlook the bloody letters because the culprit stole the file with the bloody letters on it. There's no way he could have missed that. I couldn't ask for a better setup for the game-finishing spike. Okay, there's no way the killer wouldn't have noticed because the file that was stolen had them. Perhaps you're not aware, Mr. Portsman, but there's a serious flaw in your logic. Bringing a bit of the courtroom into this, I see. No problem, I'm game. I can't help but find it odd. Excuse me? Odd that a fellow prosecutor would be brought down by the power of his own office. What are you talking about? Oh, you're joking, I get it. If you have the time to laugh, then you have the time to take another closer look at this. Do you still not see? If not, I may direct your attention to the missing file. What? That's impossible! What's impossible, Mr. Portman? Nothing. Files on that shelf are all about a certain case. When the killer went to take the file after murdering your partner, I highly doubt they could have missed the bloody letters written on the spines. It's possible that they could have taken the file before committing the murder. I think it's pretty obvious that the file was stolen after it was written on. The missing letters and the detective's name where the file should be as proof. Yeah, I mean, the S is gone and there's only half an H. If Detective Gumshoe really was the culprit of this case, I highly doubt that even he could overlook his own name written in blood on the files. Especially as a detective who can't stand the sight of blood. Which means what exactly? What does that make this dying message? It makes it the work of a criminal intent on tampering with the crime scene. Yeah, that makes sense. That's so low! I can't believe the criminal tried to pin this whole thing on me, sir! I'm gonna get him, sir! You'll see! I'm gonna have them under arrest in no time! Well, Mr. Portsman? Brilliant. Absolutely splendid. Logic deserving of Olympic gold. I appreciate the praise, but it doesn't change the fact that your reasoning is flawed. You win some and you lose some. That's how life goes. Glad everyone's so cheery, even though I feel more dead than alive. But you know, it really is a shame. Really didn't want to have to bring this up, however... Well, what is it this time? Are you still after me, pal? Humor me for a second. Who has the key to this office? That would be me! But Mr. Edgeworth just proved that I'm innocent, pal! Hardly? Whoa. That's absolutely right! And I acknowledge your innocence. Then why do I sense that you still have something to say? Is he fanning himself with his coat? Well, I was thinking, did you know there is one other person with a key to this office? One other person? Hey, you there! Yes, sir! What is it, sir? Would you kindly fetch and escort that lovely young lady here from me? A lady? The girl is a member of this building's security. Think of her as a material witness. Security? Did you say security? No, stop it, pal. Don't. It's gonna be Maggie Bird. What's wrong with him all of a sudden? Called it. I believe she needs no introduction. I've called upon Miss Maggie Bird, a member of security. Detective Gumshoe, sir. Maggie! Miss Bird is the security guard on watch tonight. I see. And your point is? My point is that she could very well have used it. And by it, I mean the master key, which can open all the office doors in this building. What? If you are not the guilty party, Detective Gumshoe, then the only other person with access to this room is Miss Bird. How dare you! I would never sneak into someone's room. That's right! I refuse to believe that Maggie's the culprit, pal! It was me! That's right, I did it! Oh my god! Can we take that as a confession, Detective? Well, it wasn't really me, but it definitely wasn't Maggie, pal! So yeah, it was me. If it was, you'd have no problems with that, right? Please refrain from flying off the handle, Detective. There's no need for such theatrics. Listen to your boss, Detective. He understands what I'm saying here. That girl is the only one who could have committed the murder. And for one simple reason. It's pretty obvious that Miss Bird stuck into your room using the master key. I mean, if Detective Gumshoe isn't the one who opened the door, then that leaves only Miss Bird as our prime suspect. On top of which, she knows our good detective, doesn't she? What if Gumshoe just left the door unlocked? Could that be possible? Making it all the more probable that she was the one who faked the dying message. So you're saying she used the master key? Incredibly incriminating evidence, wouldn't you say? It's a key. That's what you claimed about the evidence earlier as well. That was then, this is now. The flow of a good match always changes during a rally. It's all about your reflexes and reaction time, especially for an athlete like me. What are you an athlete in? Who are you? It's my first time speaking with him. Okay, I don't know who you are. I wonder if there was anyone else other than Miss Bird who could have used the master key. It seems that the only way to get Mr. Portman to give me more details is to press him. Okay. It's pretty obvious that Miss Bird snuck into your room using the master key. Are you sure Miss Bird is the only member of our security who could have used the master key? There's only one person on staff at this time of night, and tonight, she's it. Oh yeah, it's like 2 in the morning, isn't it? Isn't that a thing? Isn't that right, Miss Bird? That's, true, but I wasn't able to use the master key at the time of the crime, sir. Wasn't able to? What's that supposed to mean? Yes, moving on. I'd hate to get sidetracked by something unrelated. What do you mean, unrelated? I want to hear what she has to say, pal! But you can't really trust her not to tell lies. Plus, I hate wasting time. Should I hear Miss Bird out? Obviously, yes. Not so fast. I, too, am interested in hearing what Miss Bird has to say. Didn't I just say it'd be a waste of time? We don't need to hear her lies. I'll be the judge of that. Miss Bird, if you please. I discovered that the master key was missing at around 1 a.m., sir. What do you mean by missing? As in, it wasn't anywhere in the security booth, sir. The killer must have stolen it. Mr. Portsman, I believe this to be an important piece of testimony, don't you? I can't believe that someone like you would be taken in by such words. I'm not lying, sir. If that's the case, then I'd like to know why you have the master key now. I don't quite know. It just reappeared all of a sudden, sir. Ha! A likely story. And where's your proof that the key was stolen to begin with? I bet you just forgot where you put it and then found it again. I never lose things. I can practically guarantee that. With me, if something disappears, it's usually because someone stole it. Yeah, pal, trust me, you don't want to test just how bad her luck is. That is true. It's nice that she got a job as a security guard in the prosecutor's office, though. Kind of crazy that she went from waitress at Très Bien to this. Unfortunately, I can't deem this piece of testimony as conclusive. Glad you agree, Mr. Edgeworth. But... You still haven't established Maggie's motive for breaking into Mr. Edgeworth's office. Her motive? Didn't we already establish that it was theft? I mean, the culprit very clearly went through the bookshelves and at least tried the safe. It is as Mr. Portman says, Detective. I can't ignore the fact that all of the evidence points towards a motive of theft. But I'm done taking blows. It's time to counterattack with a few facts of my own. That was all one statement, by the way. Her intent, from the messed up shelves to the wiped down safe, I'd say thievery. I concur that the culprit's motive appears to have been thievery, however. Glad to hear that the great Miles Edgeworth is in agreement with little old me. Maggie Bird would want nothing from my office. However, with regard to the investigation of the bookshelves and the safe... Hey, good thinking, asking for my opinion on the matter. Would it be too much for you to allow me to complete a full sentence? Apparently, yes. I mean, if Detective Gumshoe isn't the one who opened the door. I thought we had established Detective Gumshoe's innocence pretty thoroughly. It was just a theory, one hypothesis among the many possibilities. I mean, I had my doubts about Miss Bird from the very beginning. If that's the case, then why didn't you mention her first? Now, don't make that face. See? There goes the truth, running the other way. Let's pick up the pace and see if we can't catch up to it. I don't think you're catching my drift. But we are in agreement that the detective isn't the killer, right? If so, then I hope you'll understand when I say that since she is the only one who could have opened your office door, then that leaves only Miss Bird as our prime suspect. Don't you think it's a bit early to be jumping to conclusions? You're basing all of this on a key that could have been stolen. Are you saying that there's another way to open the door other than with the master key? Oh, I get it. Perhaps you had a spare made for someone else. I'll have you know I have never made a spare. So what are you insinuating? Nothing. I guess I should have known better than to suggest that someone like you would. On top of which, she knows our good detective, doesn't she?
Hold it!
So? Is there anyone in this district who hasn't at least heard of Detective Gumshoe? Good point. He's practically a celebrity among us prosecutors. Really? I never knew I was so talked about, sir. We're holding our collective breath, you know. For when you screw up so badly that you're literally chased off the force. Wait, what? Is that true, Mr. Edgeworth? Of course not. That's hogwash. Don't scare me like that. I almost had a heart attack there. Oh, poor Gumshoe. Making it all the more probable that she was the one who faked the dying message.
Hold it!
By dying message, you mean the bloody letters that spell out Gumshoe? I figured that whoever wrote his name must have wanted to frame him. And just the act of choosing his name is proof enough that the two knew each other well. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and present some evidence! I would love to. But first, we should listen a bit more and digest what he is saying. And press him for more information. I just did. I pressed all the statements. It's the master key to every office in the building. Okay, so the only thing I figured out is that the key was stolen. Which means I should present it at Bird being the only suspect.
Objection!
Oh no. Oh no. I must object to your line of logic. Oh no. And which part do you have an objection to? It's, yes, well... Stay cool, Mr. Edgeworth! You're no good when you're all flustered. The detective's right for a change. How did it come to this? Calm down, Miles. Listen carefully and think everything through a bit more rationally. I'd say thievery. What would she care about a file?
Objection!
What do I object to? It would behoove you to take a good look at this. I see it, but I fail to see how it has anything to do with me. Is that so? You're not at the top of your game today, are you, Mr. Genius Prosecutor? That is rude, sir. I can't allow him to set the pace here. I must remain calm. Only by doing so can I find the fatal flaw in his reasoning. I have pressed. Okay, the only other thing I can think to present the key on is this statement.
Objection!
But the key being stolen isn't permissible. What do I do?
Hold it!
Okay, I've gone through this already. I want to make sure I've pressed everything.
Hold it!
I know I've gone through it already if I can fully skip the text.
Hold it! Hold it!
I've pressed it all.
Hold it! Hold it!
I haven't pressed the first sentence. Are you sure Miss Bird is the only member of security who could have used the master key? There's only one person on staff at this time of night, and tonight she's it. Isn't that right, Miss Bird? That's, no, I have said this. That's, true, but I wasn't able to use the master key at the time of the crime, sir. Wasn't able to? What's that supposed to mean? I discovered that the master key was missing at around 1 a.m., sir. What do you mean by missing? As in, it wasn't anywhere in the security booth, sir. The killer must have taken it.
Objection!
Ha, a likely story. And where's your proof that the key was stolen to begin with? I bet you just forgot where you put it and then found it again. What do you know, pal? Besides, Maggie doesn't have any reason to want to sneak into Mr. Edgeworth's office. That it was theft? We did. I mean, the culprit clearly went through the bookshelves and at least tried the safe. It is as Mr. Portman says, Detective. What would she want? Wait! I got it! To the wiped down safe, which she wouldn't know about!
Objection!
Boom! Why would she steal something from the safe she doesn't know exists? Do you wish to continue insisting that Miss Bird was set on stealing something? Why not? It's the truth after all. It was also by your logic that we came to the whole thievery conclusion anyway. That may be, but you must also be aware of the fact that this safe is a secret safe, the existence of which is only privy to prosecutors. Ah! I find it a little hard to believe that a hidden safe was part of her cunning plan. But she could have found it by accident while she was turning everything else upside down. I highly doubt that. I'd say the culprit knew exactly what they were looking for. After all, only the bookshelf and safe were targeted. Ah! Yeah, even I didn't know about that safe, pal. And that means there's no way Maggie could have known about it either. Or Gumshoe, for that matter. Then are you proposing that the killer is a prosecutor? Interesting conclusion. That's definitely looking more and more probable. Guess who's sweating nervously? What's wrong, prosecutor? Do you have a different suspect in mind now? Curses! Why? What made you... What's with the angry face all of a sudden? It's all my fault. What do you mean? It's Jim. He knew about the existence of the secret safes. What did you just say? We were partners, like inseparable conjoined twins. That's why I told him. I filled him in on the secret safes. Then that means... Yeah, I know. I'd only just told him, too. Obviously, it was wrong of me to tell him. I still can't quite believe it, but the thief who broke into your room was probably Jim. This is messed up. He is pinning the blame on a dead guy. Now he's claiming that the victim was the thief. And you were simply trying to stop him, weren't you? Miss Maggie Bird. Excuse me? I mean, you are a security guard, right? That's your job. But killing is going a bit too far, even in your risky profession. What the? You're still accusing Maggie of the murder? Yes and no. I mean, she had stumbled upon Jim, who had probably drawn his gun. I get it. It was self-defense, wasn't it? No, I couldn't. I could never do something like that. Not even as a security guard, sir. Plus, even if he was the thief, he wouldn't have a key to this office. Which is precisely why he had to steal it, wouldn't you say? It was Jim who stole the master key. Ah! Pretty impossible for a supposedly stolen key to be here with us. Unless you retrieved it from Jim after you killed him. Mr. Portsman, are you honestly accusing your own partner of being a thief? I don't want to admit it, but it's the only way for everything to make sense. Has he no honor? Now then, I think we're done here. The investigation waits for no man. Would you people be so kind as to see yourselves out? You can't kick us out! This is Mr. Edgeworth's office! Ah, but I'm the one who's been assigned to this case. You're all suspects to varying degrees, and therefore ineligible to run this show. Listen, pal, how many times do I have to say this? Maggie can't be the culprit! Detective Gumshoe, calm yourself. But sir! We have no choice but to accommodate his request. For now. Ha ha! Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. At least one of you understands. Now then, if you could remove yourself from my crime scene, I'd be most grateful. Mark my words, Mr. Portman. We will meet again. If that's a formal request from the legendary prosecutor himself, then I suppose so. Now don't disappoint me, you hear? To be continued. He got kicked out? March 14th, 4:18 a.m. Prosecutor's building, 12th floor hallway. What is up with that prosecutor? I can't believe how rude he was. It was unbelievable. Please maintain your professionalism, detective. I'm gonna find some real solid evidence proving Maggie's innocence. You'll see, sir. But we've been kicked out of the crime scene, sir. True. So then, what now? Looks like my life's fallen into yet another gigantic ditch. Do not despair, Miss Bird. We can overcome this as well. There are many other places and things we should be looking into anyway. Really, sir? For example, this hallway. The linchpin of his argument against Miss Bird is related to the master key. In that case, this hallway is the perfect place to look for more information regarding the mystery surrounding my door. What is a basketball doing here? That's Mr. Portman's prized possession, sir. He won gold in basketball? Oh, never mind. I heard he also plays soccer, dodgeball, and even tennis. He probably won gold in tennis. Not a single one of those sports is suitable to be played in the hallway. What is a basketball hoop doing here? Hey, didn't this just use... Let's try that again. Hey, didn't this used to be just outside next to the building a long time ago? So when and why was it moved indoors? That's the wrong voice. I don't remember exactly, but I saw one of the officers drag it up here recently. Drag it? I heard that it wouldn't fit in the elevator, so the poor guy had to bring it himself. All the way up to the 12th floor? Is that pain? It looks like you're in quite the pinch, Mr. Edgeworth. To be sure, a murder within the halls of the prosecutor's office is no trifling matter. That's the wrong voice, dang it! We must find, apprehend, and punish the killer accordingly, post-haste. I'm really bad at this. I don't know how to read very well. Sounds like a messy case you've got on your hands. If you ever feel lost or need some advice, my door is always open. How gracious. I will keep your offer in mind. Who is this guy again? I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Oh, you mean like this book right here? Which is clearly the missing file? It's... Ah! Isn't that the missing Zero Series file, sir? No doubt about it. The bloody letters mark it clear as day. There seem to be a few pages missing. Our thief took only what was necessary and left the rest behind. So what are these Zero files about, sir? I guess I've got something worth stealing in them, huh? Not particularly. It's just a collection of court case files. However, the cases within these files are not mine. Huh? They belong to the high prosecutor that used to occupy my current office. I have my reasons, but let's just say I was charged with keeping them as they were. Wouldn't that have been Von Karma? Probably. Then that means the thief must have also wanted the file for a specific reason, right? It would seem so. Only the pages related to that case from 10 years ago are missing. I wonder why anyone would care about such an old case. A well-crafted, high-quality sofa for visitors. The stitching is excellent. Talk about a luxury waiting area. These babies are also great for napping, you know. You would sleep even out here, detective, in a hallway. Whenever I do, I always wind up dreaming about giving testimony up on the stand. But it always ends the same way, me getting trounced by a lawyer. Isn't that awful? Maybe I should give it a try sometime. To envision myself winning, naturally. I was wondering if I may speak with you for a bit concerning this case. I've always been a big fan of the courtroom, but this is like a dream! A dream where I'm being cross-examined by the Miles Edgeworth. Aw. I can't let this chance pass me by. I must remember to ask her about the master key. I should jog her memory by showing my notes to her with tea. Have you ever met the victim before? Well, I've seen him a couple of times before when I had to go to Mr. Portsman's office. Mr. Faith was always playing basketball with Mr. Portsman, sir. That sounds like fun! Just once I'd have loved to play with them. It sounds fun, but the only person ever taking a shot was Mr. Portsman. All Mr. Faith ever did was pass him the ball, sir. On second thought, I don't think I'd have fit it at all that well with them. Miss Maggie Bird, correct? I take it that you are an acquaintance of the detective? She was under my supervision back when she was still on the force, sir. One day she got caught up in a murder and things started going downhill, so she quit. But I owe a lot to Detective Gumshoe for introducing me to my current employer. Or so I thought until a few hours ago. Right before I was about to clock out for the night. You got caught up in this whirlwind of a case, correct? Don't worry, my whole life has been nothing but a whirlwind of bad luck and failures. Since I was 6 months old when I fell from the 9th floor of my apartment building. I've been hit by all sorts of vehicles, gotten sick from all sorts of foods, failed at almost every test I've ever taken, experienced almost every kind of disaster. Man, her life sucks! And now, I even managed to be named a criminal just when I've become a security guard. She's been named a criminal like 3 different times, too. That's a lot to go through in one lifetime. I know! Just when I thought I had finally found my happiness. I wind up getting you and Detective Gumshoe involved in my bad luck. You don't need to worry about me, Miss Bird, nor do you need to worry about yourself. I will solve this case and prove your innocence. All I ask in return is for your cooperation. Yes, sir, Mr. Edgeworth. You can count on me. I'll do all I can to help. Okay, could you take a look at this? You were a cop. I'm just a lowly security guard, so I'm not sure what I should do with that other than to guard it. It's like talking to another gumshoe. Okay, tell me about this key. So when did you discover that the master key was missing? By the time I realized it, I think it was around 1 a.m., sir. And I noticed it was back at around 2:30 a.m. That's consistent with the time of the crime. It was just sitting there on the ledge where the security room's reception window is. But I'm sure that between those 2 times it was not just gone, but stolen, sir. Why is such an important key stored in such an insecure place? It's not like that, sir. We always keep the key further inside the room away from the window. Always, you say? Except for this time, correct? Well, I admit that was a bit careless, but I have my reasons. I left it out because I was sort of using it at the time. It was after I had used it that I left it sitting out on the ledge. She used the master key? On what? Okay, she doesn't know about this. What did you mean by you used the master key? Oh, I had to use it to open the door for this prosecutor who had forgotten his key. Interesting. I mean, it's my job as a security guard, right? Ah! What is it? That's right, I just remembered. The prosecutor who forgot his key was Mr. Portman? It was Mr. Portsman, sir. What? Please tell me more, Miss Bird, quickly. It was around 12 a.m. Mr. Portsman had forgotten his office key, so he came down to security, sir. And that's when you loaned the master key to him? No way! It's against regulations to loan the master key out to anyone. I walked with Mr. Portsman to his office and opened the door for him personally, sir. I see. And then, what happened after that? Well, he called for me to come close to his office as he was leaving to go home. That was around 1:30 a.m., I think. So, in summary, for the sake of one forgetful prosecutor, you used the master key twice tonight. Like, right after it was returned? Talk about suspicious! I doubt you can see that you've never left your keys at home, Detective. I think this calls for a thorough examination of Mr. Portsman's door. The key went missing from 1 to 2:30. But... That's contradictory. I bet the old credit card trick wouldn't work here, huh, Mr. Edgeworth? This is the office of a high prosecutor detective. These doors would be pretty ineffective if the average cat burglar could get through them. Haha, so I guess only a great cat burglar could get in. That must be who our culprit is. Might I advise you to return that conclusion to whatever pawn shop you bought it from? Oh! Roasted! Oh my god! Okay, there's a contradiction from this and this. These times are a problem. Because if the key was missing from 1 to 2:30, how could she have used it at 1:30? Miss Bird, I'm afraid there's a flaw in your story. What? No way, pal! I mean, sir? You said that you locked up Mr. Portsman's office at around 1:30 a.m., correct? However, the master key had already been stolen at that time. Wow, nothing gets by you, Mr. Edgeworth. You saw that contradiction like a pro. I had totally forgotten all about that, but thanks to you, I remember it now. You're right, it was about that very time I realized the master key was missing. And... well, I'm a security guard, sir. I couldn't just admit to losing the master key, could I? So I pretended to lock up his room, sir. You pretended? Yeah, I used my house key and made it look like I was locking it up, sir. Oh my god. So in actuality, you never did relock his door then? Well, I thought that maybe I could go lock it after I found the key. Come to think of it, I guess the store still hasn't been locked properly. What if he lied to her and got her to open Edgeworth's office? And then she never unlocked it, which is how it was unlocked when we came back. Dude, that makes so much sense! Unless I'm completely wrong and I'm allowed to go into this room. There's a contradiction here between reality and the evidence. Yeah, this door is locked, which means that it was actually Edgeworth's door. I'm one step ahead. I can't say 2 steps ahead because there aren't 2 steps. If what Miss Bird has said is true, then why is this door locked tight? Huh? You know, you're right. Miss Bird, are you sure you didn't relock this door? I'm certain of it, sir. And I don't think Mr. Portsman noticed it himself that I hadn't. Which means what, sir? It either means that he actually does have the key to his office, or that the door Miss Bird opened wasn't his at all, but a completely different one. That makes so much sense. She opened a different door, but how can you prove that? There's an easy way to find out. All we need to do is... we need to examine these. The doorknob. The prints on the doorknob will tell us everything. Hey, you! Yeah, you, pal! See us a favor and see what you can lift from this, okay? So, what did you find out? There's no need for such belligerent nostril flaring, detective. Sir, I found out that only Mr. Portman's and Mr. Faith's prints are on this doorknob. That doesn't make sense, because Maggie's print should be on the doorknob. So only 2 people's prints were found on this, huh? That's pretty decisive. Huh? I'm lost, sir. Thinking logically, a certain other person's print should be on this knob as well. Now then, whose print should also be on this doorknob? Miss Maggie Bird.
Take that!
Don't you find it odd that the prints of the person who unlocked this door are absent? You mean... yes, the door that Miss Bird opened could not have been this one, but a different one. Boom. What have we here? I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. What is this? Looks like a scrap of paper. I'll get it, sir. Let's see. Oh, there's something written on it. I brought the 3 pieces of evidence by, just like we talked about on the phone, but it looks like you're out. Guess I'll catch up to you later, buddy. It looks like a note from the victim. Yeah, and it's for Mr. Portsman. Is this basketball property of Mr. Portsman? Yes, sir. He's always ready for a match. Basketball, soccer, dodgeball, tennis, it doesn't matter what sport it is, he's game. Although I think it'd be a little hard to play tennis with this ball. That isn't the point you should be focusing on, Detective. You're right, sir. Now I know what I should be focusing on. Bad Mr. Portsman. Someone should teach him to clean his toys up after he's done playing. I think we've reached the end of this conversation. What's this? Oh, the basketball thing has been moved. Hey, what are you looking at, sir? Oh, hey, how about a game? That's okay, Detective. I just found the position of this hoop to be a little off. Hey, you're right, sir. I guess it shifted when someone made a seriously sweet slam dunk. The positioning of the hoop is definitely unnatural. I'd better take note of this. What does that mean? Can I do any logic? I don't think so. I don't see any signs of forced entry. And according to the guards, no sign that the lock was picked either, sir. Meaning that the door really was opened with a key, the master key, and never locked again. Did you happen to ask if any prints were lifted from the doorknob? Apparently the doorknob's clean as a whistle. Wiped, they think. Whoever this thief is, they did a good job of not leaving any clues behind. Investigation complete. Poking around in this hallway has actually paid off quite handsomely. Huh? How so, sir? In a variety of different ways. I think it's time we had a little chat with the real culprit of this case. You know who? You know who the killer is? Wow, Mr. Edgeworth. As long as my logic is sound, then yes. The mastermind behind this murder is none other than Mr. Portsman. What? Mr. Portsman? I knew it! That's exactly what my logic senses were telling me too! Logic senses? What the hell are logic senses? I suspected it was him from the instant he accused Maggie of being the killer, sir. That is anything but logical. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves. Come what may, it's time to knock on Truth's door. March 14th, 5:12 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office, room 1202. Mr. Portsman, I finished processing the bloody letter, sir. Alright, let's take a gander at it. Pass it here. That was awesome. Okay, looking good. You there, take good care of this. Gwah! Well, if it isn't Detective Gumshoe. End of the line for you, Portsman. We've got you now. Call off your dog, Mr. Edgeworth. Is this some kind of joke? It's no joke. We know, Mr. Jocks Portman, that you are the guilty party in this case. You must be pretty upset getting chased out of your own room. I'd be mad too. So I guess you can stay. If you promise to stay out of our way. You intend to hide your crime under the guise of a prosecutor doing his job? I can see right through the unsightly paper-thin mask you wear upon your cowl. Who'd have ever thought it would come to this? Actually, come to think of it, your mentor was Manfred von Karma, right? The legendary prosecutor who never lost a single case for 40 long years. But there was always this incessant chatter about forged evidence with that guy. Really teaches me that I've got to stay on the lookout for false accusations, you know? Are you done trying to play mind games with me? Because they won't work. The only thing you should be using that mouth of yours for now is explaining yourself. Although that, too, will only dig your hole deeper. Either way, your game is up. Well, aren't we full of ourselves, even though you have yet to prove anything? Mr. Portsman's rebuttal. I have no idea what sort of harebrained idea you have in mind, but there's a mountain of evidence that points away from me being the culprit. Besides, how, may I ask, do you propose I unlocked your door and got in here? Look, I feel bad doing this to you, but I've got work to do, so we're done here. Far from it. Sorry, but we are not finished yet. Boy, you're stubborn. I suppose you're basing your accusations on something? I'll show you what I'm basing my accusation on, with evidence. How, may you ask, did you unlock the door? Well, let me show you.
Objection!
I need to press, don't I? It would behoove you to take a good look at this. How does this not count? I see it, but I fail to see how this has anything to do with me. Is that so? You're not at the top of your game today, are you, Mr. Genius Prosecutor? I can't allow him to set the pace here. I must remain calm. Only by doing so can I find the fatal flaw in his reasoning.
Hold it!
Unfortunately, I believe I have already shown how earlier. Your speculations mean nothing, as I still insist that I could not have gained access to your room. What should I do now? Should I raise an objection? You claim to have had no way to open my door. However, is that really the honest truth? Alright, I'll humor you. Go ahead, shoot. Very well then. I propose that you use this to open my door. The key. I believe you were able to open my office door with the master key, no less.
Objection!
Wait. Hold on for a sec. I never laid a finger on that key, as you already know. Precisely, you were able to open my door without lifting a single finger. Well, maybe you did, but only to direct. That's right, you used your finger to direct this person to open my door with the key.
Take that!
You had asked Miss Bird to open your own office door for you, yes? Yeah, I kind of forgot my key at home. Happens a bit too often for my taste, you know? But the room you had Miss Bird open at that time was not your own, was it? What? You have quite the imagination. But why don't we ask her herself whose door she opened, shall we? I'm certain that it was Mr. Portman's door, sir. I checked the number plate to make sure I was opening the right door, sir. See, Miss Bird backs up my story. Yet, what if you had misled her to fool her into thinking what you wanted? He just swapped the number plates. Ha! And how do you suppose I did that? By switching the number plates on our doors, for example. That's right, they do slide out pretty easily. Furthermore, you then used one other thing to give you a very strong impression. That the door she was opening was yours, and not, in fact, mine. What was it that Mr. Portman used to make Miss Bird think that it was his room? The basketball hoop! It does matter! What? The basketball hoop, sir? It's quite the peculiar fixture in any hallway, let alone a hallway in this building. Which is why it left an unusually strong impression on you. It's an object perfectly suited to sit just outside the office of a peculiar prosecutor. Quack! That's very true, sir, because there was a basketball hoop sitting there. I thought the door I was opening had to be Mr. Portsman's. There are signs that the hoop has been moved. To sit it in front of my office, to be sure. I see. So that's how you throw suspicion on people. Thanks for the tip. But I think your conjecture is a little off the racetrack. Now you're just spouting nonsense! I had the girl open my office door. After that, I was in my room the entire time. You don't have a single reason to suspect me. So he intends to claim his innocence to the end, does he? I'm as pure and innocent as my jacket. And Miss Bird is as dirty and guilty as the jacket she wears. Hey! My jacket's not dirty, I'll have you know! I just washed it yesterday! Please calm down, for I intend to show who is the one truly covered in slime here.
Hold it!
Nonsense, you say? Yes, because I'm telling the truth here. That's it? That's all you've got? I had the girl open my office door.
Hold it!
Using the master key, of course. Sure. You have a problem with that? That is what the master key is for, right? Perhaps we should place it in an elaborate labyrinth of some sort for people like you.
Hold it!
And what were you doing in your office? I was doing my usual training regimen. Training regimen? Are you going through your law books from start to finish? Mainly batting practice and some weights. Oh, and I jog when I get the chance. Wow, you must be the buffest prosecutor we have! With the weakest legal muscles, it would seem. I was doing my usual workout, so... You don't have a single reason to suspect me. Actually, as a matter of fact, I do. If you went to your door... Then how did you not see this note? That was a lie. Well, what are you talking about? How is that a lie? Okay, this is a note that the victim left for you, Mr. Portsman. A note? It was left under your door, or did you not notice? And right here it says, "But you're out." You were not in your room when the victim came to call on you. So then, where were you, and what were you doing? Ah! Shall I explain it in full detail for you? You were busy snooping around in my room, the very room you had Miss Bird open for you.
Objection!
That's just nonsense! You have no evidence that I made the girl open your door for me. Oh, but I do. I have very decisive evidence. No way! This is proof positive that you had Miss Bird open the door for you.
Take that!
I had your door dusted for prints. My door? What for? Come on, I bet you didn't find anything. You sure are good at wasting time. You're right, I didn't find anything. And definitely not Miss Bird's fingerprints. Her prints? What do they have to do with anything? Let's put it this way, if she really was the one to open your door, then her prints should naturally be on the doorknob she touched. Further, all of the prints on my office door's knob have been wiped clean off. I can only assume it's because Miss Bird's fingerprints were on it. Don't you think it's time you gave up your charade? We know you stole into my office with the intent of stealing something from me. And Detective Faith found you out. Possibly because he heard sounds coming from a room whose occupant was on leave. Mr. Portsman, you killed Mr. Faith to silence him. And I had the misfortune to return when I did. You had to threaten me as you escaped. As I said when you had the gun to my back, no one gets away with committing murder in my office. Just what's so funny, pal? Well, that look of stiff seriousness on the face of this office's finest prosecutor, as he makes a huge mistake in accusing me, is simply too much to bear. There's just nothing else like it in the world. What? Mr. Edgeworth just explained it all, and he even backed it up. You're the murderer. Stop trying to be slippery and just admit to the crime already. And as I said earlier, it's all so circumstantial, so full of conjecture. You say you checked my door for prints? Well, I can readily confess that I wiped that knob down well. I'm a little obsessive-compulsive, you see. I didn't want to touch a doorknob that you had touched. Wow! Which is why I'd wiped the knob down as soon as I could after you opened the door. He's like, it's better if I admit I'm an asshole than if I admit that I killed someone. Which is technically true, but wow. After that, it makes perfect sense why that only Jim's and my own prints would be on there. You made that up just now, didn't you? Furthermore, as for the note Jim left for me, do you know exactly when that was? For all we know, he could have left it there before I arrived at the office. Like early evening, for example. Are you saying you failed to notice a note in your doorway? Hey, even geniuses fail sometimes. I was probably too preoccupied by work-related matters, although that's no excuse. Now that's just a flat-out lie. There's no way you didn't notice a note that size. But you can't prove that, can you? Say something, Mr. Edgeworth. Back me up here, sir. Portsman makes a good point. I can't prove that he didn't simply overlook it. Besides, I have an airtight alibi. Airtight, you say? I only just realized I had one as we were talking. I guess it would have been better for all of us if I had told you sooner. If memory serves, you came back to this office at around 2 a.m., correct? And it was then that you had that unfortunate confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit. But at exactly that time, I was down in criminal affairs. Ask around. I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story. It's the perfect alibi. Do you really think it's that perfect? Like I said, I don't care. Ask around all you like. You'll see for yourself. Detective Gumshoe. Sir, yes, sir. I'll go check out his alibi, sir. Be right back. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, I think we're in trouble. It's just like Mr. Portman said. The guys down in criminal affairs said they saw him at around 2 a.m. You see? All of the evidence points to him being the culprit, so there must be a contradictory point in his alibi somewhere.
Hold it!
You are correct. It was around 2 a.m. Are you sure? It's really important to me that you're spot on with the time. I remember checking my watch then, and make no mistake, it was 2. Woohoo! Giving testimony like a pro. Okay, so you came back to your office at 2. And it was then that you had that unfortunate confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit.
Hold it!
It is as you say, however. How did he know? Yes, however, you are the only one who claims to have bumped into the culprit. I don't think Edgeworth told anyone that. So tell me, did you see the person's face? Was it me who you saw? It was pitch black, so I couldn't actually see. Oh, come now. I'm sure you saw something. Try a little harder, why don't you? I'm beginning to feel like I'm the one being interrogated here. Oh well, it doesn't matter if you remember or not. It only matters that you ran into the culprit. But at exactly that time, I was down in criminal affairs.
Hold it!
So you paid the criminal affairs department a visit? Yep, right after I left the prosecutor's building, I headed straight for the precinct. Ask around. I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story. It's the perfect alibi. Well, we did go and ask around to confirm your testimony. And it was just as I said, right? Yes, sir. A number of detectives said that they saw you at around that time. See? I have the perfect alibi. That's the ace I had up my sleeve. Impossible. He actually does have the perfect alibi. What's wrong? Why the sudden look on your face? Can't you say anything back, Mr. Edgeworth? I think we've reached the end of the line, and it's time to get off this crazy train. You there. Sir, please escort the young lady out. But remember, be gentle. Maggie! Detective Gumshoe! Is there nothing I can do? There must be a way to turn this situation around. If only I had a clue. Did I miss something that can help me cast doubt on his alibi? I need to calmly think this through one more time, and with logic. Once before and once after. I don't know what it means. Evidence points to the shelves being disturbed once before and once after the murder. But who is to say that the person who did it the second time is the same as the first? Which could mean that there was another person who paid a visit to my office tonight. Another visitor with another handgun. If indeed there were two culprits, then that resolves the contradiction behind our murder weapon. Despite the fact that there are 2 bullets here in this room, the murder weapon only shows signs of being fired once, leaving the possibility that the other bullet was fired from the other visitor's gun. Furthermore, if we suppose that the second culprit's gun was the one that was pointed at my back, Mr. Portsman, it seems that I need to amend my assumptions regarding this case. Great, so you finally come to your senses. Mr. Edgeworth! Sir, what are you saying? This has been a big misunderstanding on my part from the start. I'd assumed that the person I ran into was the killer, but that may not be the case. What do you mean? The person I ran into was just your average thief. A thief? But, sir, doesn't that cause some sort of contradiction in the facts? Not at all. It simply means that the killer was someone else. And it means that in actuality, 2 culprits stole into my office tonight. What do you mean 2? It explains both why my shelves were disturbed twice and how there were 2 guns. Mr. Portsman tricked Miss Bird and gained entry into my office. Now you're just leading the argument. You still don't have any actual proof, you know. If you could please go along with my hypothetical scenario for now, Mr. Portsman. In the end, if you really are innocent, you should have nothing to worry about. Ugh. Now then, returning to my scenario, Mr. Portsman was out to steal something from me, which is why he checked my secret safe and ransacked my shelves. This is the first time. So then, this would be when the files were put back in the wrong order, right? Correct. And then, just when he was about to look somewhere else, who should walk in but his own partner, Mr. Faith? But why did Mr. Faith come into your room, sir? Probably had business with Mr. Portsman, which is why he was in the area. But that's when he noticed sounds coming from my office. That would be my guess. Oh, because you were supposed to be away, right? And he must have thought it was odd, so he came into this office to check it out. Correct. And as a detective, that was the right thing to do. But when he came in, he found his own partner standing there. Because it was Mr. Portsman, Mr. Faith probably let his guard down. But Mr. Portsman was not so merciful as to let him leave alive. He waited for a chance and stole Mr. Faith's gun from him, and then he killed him. He silenced Mr. Faith for catching him in the act of stealing. This was the moment in which the first shot was fired, the one that landed in my files. Following that, Mr. Portsman wiped the gun down and left it behind as he made his exit. He could afford to do that because he had also left the fake dying message behind. You're such a complicated troublemaker, you know that? Well, if things were as simple as that, then all would be solved. However, there's yet another visitor to my room, and this is where it gets complicated. There was another? Visitor, sir? Yes, and this other person's objective was also to steal something from me. Now then, even after Mr. Portsman left, the door to my office remained unlocked. However, this new visitor had no way of knowing that, and so they stole the master key from the security guard's room, and then entered my room and searched through my shelves. This was the second time they were disturbed, and it seems the thief found their prize. A stolen zero file, right, sir? Correct. Only, just as the thief was about to leave with the file, I appeared. The thief then threatened me with their own gun and made their escape. The second bullet was fired during that brief encounter. So the shelves getting messed up twice in 2 bullets. It was all because 2 different people were doing those things at 2 different times. Precisely. So now do you see, Mr. Portsman? The person I met was just a thief, and not, in fact, Mr. Faith's killer. Your alibi for the time frame in which I ran into the other person is now irrelevant, because we now know that the murder took place during the first culprit's visit. What's so funny, pal? Absolutely splendid. Your scenario explains everything. Of course it does. It's Mr. Edgeworth, after all. But you know, it still doesn't change the fact that it's all circumstantial. Supposing if, and that's a big if, your theory is right, it would indeed render my alibi, which has withstood scrutiny, mind you, irrelevant. But there is still one defining point of your argument for which you have no evidence. Your supposition that I was the first visitor. Mr. Edgeworth, you can't let him get away with that, sir! But he has a point. I have absolutely no proof at this point. Don't say that, sir. I don't believe this. Don't worry, Maggie. I'll do something if I must. You know something? I find your attitude to be somewhat peculiar, Mr. Edgeworth. If the person you met really was just a plain old thief, then why is that person not your main suspect? That is, if your theory is correct. That thief you ran into should be your real suspect, wouldn't you say? We should be out there looking for that thief right now. They might still be nearby. I hate to repeat myself, but as I've already said, I was training in my room. It's been 3 hours. That thief is not nearby. And when Jim came to deliver some evidence to me, I was down at Criminal Affairs. So I can't be expected to know what happened around here after I left. So, you think we should be out there looking for the thief? Of course. Now's not the time to be having these dead-end discussions. I don't think it's at all dead-ended. I find your alibi to be fascinating. Let's continue where we left off, shall we? I know he's lying. I know he was here at the scene of the crime. I just have to find a way to prove it. This is some epic music, by the way. Actually, no, I wouldn't. Why not? That's elementary. The dying message, of course. Mr. Faith's killer very clearly left those letters on the spines of those files, and it was after they were on there that the thief stole one of them. You mean the zero files, right? And that's how we also know the letters themselves were a setup, and not from Mr. Faith. If the thief was the killer, do you think they would try to undermine themselves? Maybe the killer just didn't think of that either. Yes, that must be it. Maybe, just maybe. Look, he's getting nervous. We should be out there looking for that thief right now. They might still be nearby. Once escaped, I highly doubt that a thief would linger nearby. Well, you never know. Maybe they didn't get what they were really after. Oh, you talk like you know quite a bit about this thief. It's nothing like that. I've no idea about anything, after all. I hate to repeat myself, but as I've already said, I was training in my room!
Hold it!
But according to Mr. Faith's note... Hold on, I thought we already cleared that up. Didn't we say that Jim left that note for me in the early evening? If you have proof that he left it at a different time, say just before he was murdered... I don't have any, no. You see? So I insist again that I was in my office the entire time. And when Jim came to deliver some evidence to me, I was down at Criminal Affairs.
Hold it!
Why didn't you go there with Jim, Mr. Faith? That's because he said he was tired and gonna take a quick nap. You know those sofas in the hallway? He likes to sleep on those. It's one of his habits. And what of the evidence he brought? They were things related to yesterday's case. Just 2 items. A gun and a pendant. A gun, Interesting. His piece of testimony seems too crucial to let slip through the cracks.
Hold it!
A gun and a pendant. Yes. This gun, which was the murder weapon, that looks exactly like the other gun. And this pendant, which belonged to the victim. And why were you taking them to criminal affairs? It was something in a past case file I wanted to compare these two to. But all this has nothing to do with this case right now. Anyway, I believe you find the long paper trail I left to be to your satisfaction. This is all matching up with what Detective Gumshoe found out. So I can't be expected to know about what happened here after I left. I can't expect you to know, can I? Nope, but I guess you can expect me to take a guess based on logical deductions. Oh, then let's see you deduce. Jim waited for me to leave and then stole the master key. For the purpose of sneaking into your room, of course. And that's when Miss Bird caught him red-handed, and the murder occurred. It's all exactly as I had laid out earlier. I know he's lying. I know he was here, at the scene of the crime. I just have to find a way to prove it. Okay. I feel like I should be presenting this gun.
Objection!
I'm wrong. Oh no. I got it.
Objection!
No? I got it. I got it. I got it. I think I have to present the door.
Objection!
This is like the least obvious that a present has been. Because I don't know what to present.
Objection!
What?
Objection!
What? How is that not true?
Objection! Objection!
It's something with this. I know it. There it is. 3 pieces of evidence. Actually, nerd. Get destroyed. It was so easy. Only 2 pieces. I believe the proper phrase here is, you fail. Excuse me? You fail as a prosecutor, Mr. Portman, as you intend to keep evidence hidden from me. What are you talking about? I haven't hidden anything from you. Well, here's a piece I think you should read. Carefully. Ah! It says that Mr. Faith was bringing 3 pieces. Yes, and this is the victim's real dying message to you, Mr. Portman. I can't believe... To get tripped up by simple arithmetic. Where is the missing piece of evidence? It's... You have it, don't you? Only the guilty would make such a face. Detective Gumshoe! You don't have to say it, sir. I'll pat the guy down from head to toe. Well, don't come any closer. I'm warning you. This is all part of the investigation, pal. So don't even think about stopping me. No. Hey, what's this? You had this on him, sir. Despite what you said, it would appear that you do have something to hide. But why would he hide something like that? There's only one reason why anyone would hide evidence of this caliber. Because it would unequivocally point to that person himself as the real killer. Let's examine this videotape in a little more detail. For the section of the tape that will drive this last nail into the coffin. Ah! That's blood, isn't it? Yes, and I believe this is what the good prosecutor was trying to hide from us. This blood is still fresh. You mean this might be Detective Faith's blood? No! No! You've got it all wrong! No amount of denial can save you. We have but to run a blood test to find the truth. You told us that you had received evidence from the victim earlier. Now you will tell us when and how did the victim's blood find its way onto this video. Yeah, it's totally suspicious. Was it at the moment of his death? Did Detective Faith have this videotape on his personage when you killed him? You know very well there's no way to prove that. Not even if we were to examine this tape for fingerprints. Nah! If I had to take a guess, I'd say that the only ones on here would belong to the murderous you and Mr. Faith. No, impossible. Did he just eat it? Whoa. March 14th, 5:47 a.m. High Prosecutor's Offices, room 1202. Mr. Portsman has been placed under arrest for the murder of Detective Buddy Faith, sir. Very good. And the results we got back from the lab techs on the tape turned out to be real solid, sir. The blood work came back and it was definitely Mr. Faith's blood on there. And as a bonus, they were also able to lift a few of Mr. Faith's fingerprints as well. Thank you so very much, Mr. Edgeworth. I still can't believe I got to see your cool deduction skills outside the courtroom. I'm impressed beyond words, sir. It was nothing. I'm just sorry you got caught up in a murder in my office. Please accept my apologies. It was nothing, really. Compared to what I've been through, I mean. I consider myself lucky there was only a burglary and murder this time, sir. If it had been a holdup or a hostage situation, I'd have thrown my hands up in the air. I think I'm finally rising up from a goddess of misfortune to just an unlucky person. Yeah, it was only a murder. Something tells me we should have hired a different person for security detail. You know something, sir? That Mr. Portsman really was one corrupt prosecutor. And why would you say he was corrupt? Well, I heard that there were a number of suspicious things related to his court cases. There's even rumors about how some of the evidence he uses is forged, sir. And he would try to bring up Von Karma to me. Forged evidence, huh? And they say he even decided not to prosecute a few cases for some really vague reasons. Ooh, that guy was a complete disgrace to the entire profession. We never did get around to asking what his reason was for breaking into my office. Yeah, whenever we got near that topic, he just clammed up. Although, we can be pretty certain it was to steal something. It's just between you and me, sir, but there's a rumor that some sort of huge organization is involved behind the scenes. Oh? Well, well. Was Mr. Portsman not willing to divulge anything? It certainly lends credence to that sort of rumor. It would seem we haven't heard the last of this. Huh? Mr. Portsman isn't the bad guy? I didn't say that, but rather that there are still many more mysteries for us to solve. For example, we still haven't figured out the significance to this piece of evidence. The safe? The empty safe?
Take that!
Sir, I don't think there's any mystery left to that piece. You might be right there. I think you've solved the case already, Mr. Edgeworth. The only thing— oh no, they gave me the answer. The only thing left that we still don't know about is maybe this. Oh yes, the Zero Series file, the significance of which we have yet to fully comprehend. Well, I'll just see myself out. The person who stole this file, the other villain of the night. Yeah, I wonder who it was. And what happened to the stolen pages? That was the wrong voice. Let me try that again. And what happened to the stolen pages? I wonder, who in the world was it that held me up at gunpoint? Mr. Edgeworth, sir? Yes? I came across this while I was processing your office earlier, sir. This card? What is it, sir? Is that a bird or something on there? It's not just any bird. It is the mark of the raven, a three-legged raven. Even you should know what this is, Detective. Oh, it's about that thing, isn't it? That great thief everyone's talking about. Yes, it is the mark of the great thief Yatagarasu. Who now? Under the mark of a legendary bird, the Yatagarasu is noble to the end, a modern Robin Hood. Labeled mysterious and phantom-like, the Yatagarasu appears and vanishes at will. Though we don't know much about this thief's ultimate goal, we do know the target. The Yatagarasu likes to find and make public evidence of corrupt dealings of all sorts. The theft is always performed in silence and always with perfection. Once a target is chosen, no dramatic calling card or announcement is set forth. Instead, the chosen corporation is infiltrated without even the target noticing. Some days later, the evidence that was found is sent out to the mass media, along with this single card. Although, it has been a while since the Yatagarasu's last appearance. Hey, Mr. Edgeworth! Look, something's written on the back! What? Let me see. It's the location of where the thief put the stolen files! So the person who stole the contents of the file was the Yatagarasu? Yatagarasu organization. Quite a few keywords are popping up in this mystery. The murder in my office. The return of the great thief Yatagarasu. Looking back, I can't say I didn't see these events coming, for they were heralded by the incidents that began to occur 2 days ago. The end. That's ominous.